country in Northeast Asia, is known as a land of scenic beauty, moderate climate and many mountains. Crystal clear water forms streams in almost every gorge of this largely mountainous country. Traditionally built villages along river gorges, a typical Korean village has a windscreen of mountains behind and a stream and rice paddies in front. Living generation after generation surrounded by the beauties of nature, Koreans learnt the sense of natural beauty and adapted it to the shape of the house roof. In the past, Koreans could easily select a housing site for its natural beauty, and they believed that by building in such favourable places, they would create a pleasant, healthy, happy and prosperous home as well. Backed by the wisdom they acquired from nature, the people produced tools and implements for tilling the soil as well as for their daily living. Mr. Shin Yong-hoon, an expert on traditional Korean architecture, explains.
우리나라의 집을 보통 한옥이라 부릅니다. 이 한옥이라는 말은 다른 나라에는 없다는 뜻이에요.
The Korean style house is unique because it has elements unique to the country and the people. It is basically designed for a convenient and comfortable life, but its style is different from those of other countries because Korean life and customs are different.
구현이 돼서 우리들이 느끼는 이상형의 추구 그거를 통해서
The Korean way of life is a product of harmony between nature and the people's wisdom, embodying experience and knowledge accumulated over thousands of years. It has formed a style unique to the nation. This style is evident in the people's way of thinking, food, clothes and dwellings. Gradual changes and adjustments over a long period of time help to mould this style. This edifice, called Yongkyong-dan, is a typical Korean-style structure built in the 18th century. Water from behind the house flows round to the front, moves to the west, and finally to the lotus pond, bending and passing the stone bridge in front of the gate. The pond is said to ensure the happiness and wealth of the family. Stylized animal figures and patterns on the roof and other parts of the house are symbols of prayer for driving out evil spirits. Such exorcist patterns were believed to eliminate evil spirits descending from the sky and those penetrating upwards from the earth. The patterns are divided into lucky omen, happiness, and longevity. Patterns imploring peace and happiness of the family can be discovered even in the fences and chimneys, as well as inside and outside the house. The purlins also have such patterns. By the way, round purlins were used for the man's living section and square ones for the woman's. The traditional Korean-style house has two middle gates. The one that leads to the reception room for the men is higher, and the other middle gate leads to the inner quarters where the women spend most of their time. This is the men's quarters, where the men in the house spend their time and receive guests. Besides the terracing stones is the horse block, or the stepping stone for a man alighting from horseback or a monowheeled chair. Surrounding the men's quarters are the servants' quarters, which consist of rooms and sheds. Now let us see how people would have lived in this house in the 18th century. A young man of the scholar class is paying a visit to his senior, a high-ranking government official. Courtesy formed the backbone of everyday life in those days. When the visitor calls for the master of the house in front of the gate, an errand boy runs out to receive him. Then the boy guides the guest to the reception room in the men's quarters. The distance between the gate and the men's quarters is far enough to give the master time to get ready for proper reception of a guest. Meantime, the errand boy closes the gate between the men's and women's quarters, which means women will not be allowed in the men's quarters while the guest remains. Inner quarters are used exclusively by women. When they are informed of the arrival of a guest, the women start to prepare food for his reception. The inner room or boudoir, placed in the innermost part of the women's quarters, is used as a bedroom by man and wife, and living room for women during the daytime. Behind the women's quarters is a terrace for keeping jars of soy sauce and other condiments, all homemade under the supervision of the housewife or her husband's mother. A shed connected to the kitchen is used for storing provisions. The kitchen floor is lower than the ground level. The style is patterned after a dugout. A wooden veranda attached to the heated floor type of room developed in the sunny southern parts of the country and spread to other areas. The old type of wooden floor can be discovered in the hut on stilts. Korean-style house is the combination of the underfloor heating system and the wooden floor beside it. When one climbs onto the wooden floor from the yard, one sees that the level of the veranda is equal to or slightly higher than that of the room inside. In between the boudoir and the room opposite it is a spacious wooden floor. The loft is designed as an integral part of the house, along with the wooden floor and the rooms. It is reached from the inner room. Below the loft is the kitchen. There is a space in the kitchen which is equivalent to a range, with fixed kettles on it. The space is connected to the inner room. The fireplace in the kitchen is used for both cooking and heating the floor of the adjacent rooms. Women prepare vegetables, grind grains with a hand mill, and do other jobs on the wooden floor. The wooden veranda are used almost exclusively by women for sewing clothes, pulling cloth, and other similar types of work. men's quarters are used for receiving guests, chatting and debating scholastic subjects. In the men's quarters are bookshelves and study rooms for children. The master's room has various kinds of furniture and, of course, brushes, inkstones, ink sticks and paper for writing and drawing. The master keeps the so-called bamboo woman here to use while resting, either holding it in his arms or placing it under his legs for ventilation. The room has doors and windows composed of triple or even quadruple layers of rice paper in some cases. In summer, the outer windows are lifted open and kept in that position all the time. While the structure of a Korean-style house is relatively simple, the woodwork for doors and window frames is varied. Over 20 kinds of doors and windows are used for a Korean-style house, and ribwork patterns differ according to the location of each door or window. Some of the ribwork may look simple, but is usually elaborate, often reflecting significant meaning and profound expression of the Korean people. The 1910s were the historic dividing line in Korea, as Western influences began to play a dominant part in the country's traditional architecture. In the years that followed, both high-rise buildings and Western-style houses were built especially in larger cities, and Seoul has become an international city of both old and new. Traditional Korean-style houses and others who live in newly built Korean-style houses. A new spirit of preserving the culture and art bequeathed to them from ages past is evident in modern Korea. Architects in Korea are finding elements in traditional Korean-style houses which can be adapted to modern settings. More and more people are interested in learning about Korean-style houses, as they are unique in the history of world architecture.